Sure as night follows day when Microsoft comes out with a new version of its operating system, Peter Norton is usually right behind with a new upgrade of the Norton Utilities program. Here to show us the new Norton Utilities for Windows 95 is Enrique Salem of Symantec. All right, every time Microsoft comes out with one of these things, you guys jump up real quick and say, we've got some things that isn't inside Windows that every user ought to have. What do you have in the new Norton?
Okay. The utilities are specifically designed and architected for Windows 95. They're full 32-bit programs that take advantage of the multitasking and multi-threading capabilities of Windows 95. Prior to installing Windows 95, there's a couple things that a user should do. These utilities that you'll be seeing are actually the Win32 versions. We also ship the DOS versions with the product.
All right, so you're saying this Norton Utilities is good to run with Windows 95, but you should also run it before you install Windows 95.
Absolutely.
All right, to do what?
Okay, the first thing that a user should do is run NDiags to test their hardware. It does a comprehensive hardware test that checks things like IRQ conflicts and memory errors. The second step that you want to do is run the Norton Disk Doctor to make sure that your hard disk is free from errors. Let's take a quick look here at the Norton Disk Doctor. Some of the options that we've built in are the backgrounding capability. This takes advantage of the multitasking capabilities of Windows 95 and is always running in the background to make sure that your hard drive is always clean. The next step is Space Wizard, a brand new piece of the utilities. What Space Wizard does is over time people tend to accumulate files that they don't need. Things like temporary files and duplicate files. So what you're seeing here is a list of some of the files that Space Wizard has found.
Now how does Space Wizard know these are files I don't need anymore?
What it does is it's looking for specific extensions, and it doesn't actually delete them. What it does is it lists them out for the user so that the user can go ahead and decide what they want to remove either to a floppy drive or to a network drive.
Okay.
And the main thing with this utility is it's very safe. The last step that you want to do is run Speed Disk. Speed Disk makes sure that your hard drive is defragmented and make sure your computer is running at peak performance.
All right, so it gets Windows 95 running at its max, and it gets your computer set up so it'll take care of Windows 95, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, that's the Norton Utilities for Windows 95. Now, there are some of you out there who just get livid with all this talk about Windows. I'm talking about the OS2 fans. It's hard to find a group of users who are more passionate about a product. So let's take a look at the newest version of IBM's OS2 called Warp.
The VLSI Systems Lab at Stanford University is looking for more efficient ways to convert data into useful information. The lab's experiments involve the fabrication of very large-scale integrated circuits, work that requires designing, building, and testing new models using computers at every step.
The way we use the computers in the lab is to integrate them as the controlling mechanism for our design, simulation, and testing of the constructed parts. So the computers are connected to all the instruments you can see behind me and permit us to manage the instrument and capture the data from the instrument. But the multiprogramming and multitasking that meant that the computer could be managing the flow of data to and from an instrument and running other applications at the same time was also key to the whole system being productive.
The VLSI lab has been using IBM's OS2 for several years and recently graduated to the latest version called Warp. The lab's directors settled on OS2 as a friendlier alternative to Unix, and the newest version has features to make the system more stable and the interface easier to use.
It is more stable than the system before. I think I feel more strongly than most people that computers ought to really work. And the fact is that when we've run the lab course, the computers have run through all the lab sessions. The students have never had to experience waiting around with nothing to do while the computer gets restarted.
An easy install program automatically identifies and configures the hardware to meet specifications. A toolbar called the Launchpad permits direct access to commonly used applications, folders, and printers. There's even a basic plug-and-play menu to help hapless users with problem-plagued installations. Amazingly, all this runs on less memory.
IBM did something that is extraordinarily unusual. They really did explicitly decide the next system is going to use less memory, and we're just going to sit down and figure out how to do it. The system is clearly tighter and has better performance on large systems as well as small. But as I said, that discipline of sitting down and saying, this time we're going to make the software smaller is practically a first in the industry.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Giles Bateman.
One reason Windows has been dominating in the OS battle is the strong support of software applications developers, and that's continuing with Windows 95. It's not even out yet, but many software vendors are already poised to launch Win95 versions of their applications. We're going to show you two of them. And here to help us get started is Ted Johnson of Shapewear, the guys who make Visio.
Hello, Stuart.
As an applications developer, what does Windows 95 mean to you? How do you take advantage of the new operating system environment to make your application work better?
Well, first step, of course, you want to get to be a 32-bit application. Take advantage of the performance improvements and reliability improvements offered in that environment. But second, and I think more important to the users, is embrace the user interface changes that Windows 95 is bringing out.
All right, show me what you mean by that.
Well, one part of Windows 95 is a change from thinking about applications to thinking about data.
What you want to do rather than how to do it.
Exactly. And when we install Visio, we include templates for a collection of different drawing types presented here with different icons and, of course, long file names using that feature of Windows 95.
So you're really taking that Windows 95 paradigm and putting it inside your application.
Or even here outside the application before I've launched Visio.
Right.
I go in here and I say I want to do a flowchart by double-clicking the flowchart icon. I come up with a collection of flowchart symbols which I can drag and drop onto my drawing page. We'll make a very, very brief flowchart here.
And again, it's all graphic, it's all drag and drop.
Exactly. We've applied the drag and drop idea in Visio to graphics. Of course, we also have smart connections. You can add text to shapes very easily. And add text to connectors, as you would expect, and be able to do all of that very, very seamlessly from within the application.
All right, so what are some of the other things that Visio does, Ted?
Well, let me use the Windows taskbar to shift back to our Visio 32 window and open up a folder where I have some drawings I've created earlier. I have a plan, I guess, maybe I'd like for my dream office. Let me just take that icon here and show you. I'll drag that right into the Visio window, and Visio opens that up here, again, using a capability of Windows 95 of drag and drop across applications. I've always wanted an office that was large enough to fit a sofa. Maybe I can try to drag that into the floor plan and see if it works. And well, things look a little tight here. Maybe we'll zoom in for a slightly closer view. A little tight with this file cabinet. Let me bring that over here. I'll rotate the file cabinet, maybe drop it into the corner and say, well, yeah, I think that works. Though I don't really like the color of that. I'll use the right mouse button to bring up a context-sensitive menu.
So again, you're using right mouse button capability.
Again, part of the user interface guidelines of Windows 95. We'd expect to see these embraced by all of the applications which will bear the logo designed for Windows 95.
Right. So again, with Visio, you can not only do the layout stuff, you can actually do the patterns and fill them in and make,
do the patterns
make ugly sofas like that. And
ugly
so
sofas like that, and if you need to come in here and measure it, I mean, if you're doing a floor plan, you'd like to measure it, and you'd like to see that that in fact is a 15-foot office. Visio has that capability too. Not just simple diagrammatic type of things like flowcharts, but actual measured floor plans and space plans, such as this. Again, the variety of things that Visio can do in that task-oriented view we saw earlier.
All right, thanks for showing us Visio, Ted.
You're welcome.